So welcome back. We are now back at the miniature, and Donna, what are we going to focus on for this video?
Well, we're going to focus on the aspect of, again, going through before we vacuum, before our initial cleaning, to kind of go through each area of the model and look for anything that's loose or broken or that looks like it wouldn't survive having a brush passed over it and vacuum and the suction of the vacuum. So again, all that really involves is kind of taking a pair of tweezers and just gently either pushing. We know these cypress trees are pretty sturdy, and again, these are natural material, but they painted these, so it's very cool, but it's actually little twigs. And really what we're doing is just trying to see, can I take my vacuum and start dry brushing without having something fall over or fall off? So it's really just a little test here. And with something like this, you know, this sign is kind of an example of what we saw. What I pointed out was some of the things we'd actually removed in the past, which is, this is a sign. I'm not sure it's a historic sign just yet, but the only thing that's holding it in place are these fiber optic wires here from that later restoration effort. The sign's in pretty good shape. It's filthy. It's a bit distorted or deformed. So I'm going to leave that there because I know that can take having me come around and vacuum with my brush, and I don't have to worry about sucking it up into the vacuum or damaging it. But this phase is pretty detailed. This has received one pass by my colleague and the woman who basically did a lot of the documentation and inventory component of this, Heather Goers, and she's a board member of Hollywood Heritage. She's had a first pass, but I'm going to take a second pass because I'm the one coming by with the vacuum. So I can see here that there's a few branches that are sitting here loose on the road. I want to save those. I don't know where they go. But I don't want to lose them because the natural material that makes up the landscaping is, we want to save every bit of that because I don't know how easily we can replicate it today.
Because those are from
bits of
natural trees from the time.
From the time. And you can see that an effort was made, as in this case and this case, to have blooming hedges or trees. Now you could have, we could consult with a landscape architect to kind of get a sense of what was the popular landscaping at the time. We could do our own research too to see, what was the landscaping of 1940s Hollywood? What kind of trees were in favor? What kind of hedges were in favor? Even in my 30 years of being in Hollywood, I've seen sort of phases of plantings that have been in fashion, gone out of fashion, some are coming back. But so the landscape really does change, but this seems to capture some of the things that are current with Hollywood landscaping today, which is blooming trees. I don't know if jacaranda was particularly popular back then. It is now. Certainly the cypress trees were definitely, you see them all over Hollywood still. So we could kind of go down that road in terms of when we get to the point of how much of the landscaping are we going to augment and how much are we not. An issue going back to the fiber optic issue is the issue of these palm trees, which were added at a later date as well. So are we going to keep the palm trees? Are we going to take them off? a couple of questions. But definitely any of this naturally made landscaping material, we're going to keep as much as possible. And we'll try to figure out how to reproduce that in a way that's appropriate, to kind of fill in areas where we obviously see losses of landscaping, losses of little bits of hedges that have been flattened. You can see areas here that looks a little bare bones. Not clear what happened there, whether that was taken out for fiber optic installation. Again, we're just taking, you know, that'll stand up to vacuuming. So just again...
And the cars as well, like these would all be...
Yeah, these are all, you know, if they're there, they're there. I'm not gonna... But I think for the most part, we've taken off any of the cars that are, that were loose. We suspect there were a lot more cars because we see the painting of their black light headlights on the roadway, but there's no car. So we know there was a car.
Unless they're invisible.
Yes. So this is kind of the you know, another sort of foray into protecting as much of the historic fabric that we have here before we actually kind of start to go in and actually touch this artifact in a significant way.
And then, as we saw in the last video, you would take each piece, it would be designated to the quadrant that it's in, and that way, when it's stored, you can then find it again and know roughly where it
goes. Well, actually, exactly, because we mark on the photograph, because we have in this quadrant, we have this photographed completely. And if I took this sign off, or one of these, if it was loose, I would put a circle on the photograph.
Okay.
And then I would remove that.
Okay.
And then it would get an ID number. The circle on the photograph would have an ID number that matches the ID number of the bagged item. So you would know exactly where it goes. It's not subjective. We try not to be subjective here. This is completely what we see, where it was, and that's where it goes back.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, well, we'll see what happens in the next video. I think we're just gonna,
Yes.
It keeps getting more and more detailed. We'll be in the model itself. And
that's right. Action.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.